Hello.
Hey!
Hello, I need to discuss business
Okay.
before we get cracking on with the show.
Is this like Podquisition business or more general business?
It's Podquisition business. It's
Okay.
Podquisition. Now, listeners might wonder why I wouldn't have discussed business with you before we hit record, but everyone has to go along with the conceit here.
Right.
Yeah, I have no questions about why we're doing a business meeting on the air, but
Yeah.
that's just how we do things.
But here's I'm gonna give you the straight shake,
Mm-hmm.
right? The economy's hitting us everywhere. Okay?
It's true.
Times are tough. My fucking energy bills skyrocketed along with everyone else's. We got to bring in some money.
Okay.
And I think it's finally time to do something I never wanted to do and monetize the podcast.
Okay.
Now, hear me out and don't be mad at what I've done.
That's how my favourite sentences start, is don't be mad. Just hear me out and don't be mad. I've already done a thing, please don't be mad.
Yeah.
That's how my favourite business meetings go.
So, and again, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Mostly because what I've made will involve a lot of beating around the bush in a literal sense. But I've been looking at monetization. I've been looking more closely at merchandise opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one thing I've picked up from our listenership, it's that all three of us, in many ways, are sexual icons.
Oh, yes. I hear that about myself a lot.
Yeah.
I like to think that.
Yeah.
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 In our own different ways, we are all just irresistible magnets
Yeah.
of raw attraction.
Well, between Conrad's hairy virility, Laura's ass and my tits, I think together we would make one hell of an amalgam.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. But speaking as someone who likes to be objectified and therefore assumes everyone else does too, because I relate to people by assuming that my likes is everyone else's likes, I have made a couple of sex dolls
Oh.
of us.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
They're very lifelike. Basically, they're 3 blow-up dolls I bought from the local sex shop. I've painted one of their heads blue, drawn in biro hair all over one of them, and then just attached a couple of basketballs to the chest of the other one. But where this really comes into its own is, and you're going to be very excited about this, I've installed voice modules.
Oh.
So that people, while they're boffing us, can hear the authentic sounds of us having sex.
I see.
Wow.
And all you've got to do is slide a cheeky finger up the bumhole and then just sort of wiggle your digit around until you find the button. A bit like those ones you get in birthday cards that sing at you.
I mean, look, that took a turn, because I don't know why this is what I assumed, but I assumed it was just going to be playing, like, audio clips from Podquisition.
Oh, no.
Like, you're fucking away at this inflatable doll while, getting a review of whatever it is we've been playing this week.
Heavens no. Heavens no.
It's multitasking.
I have sourced genuine sexual sound clips of us. If I just get the hang on, just get Conrad's one here. Right, here we go.
Do it, oh yeah. Do it, oh yeah.
Oh my, where did you get this?
Great job. Do it, oh yeah. Oh shit. I'm sorry.
So, when you were here for Thanksgiving the other year and wanted to check all of the corners of my bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I may have slipped in a little recording device.
This is not an invasion. This is fine.
I don't think it is.
This is fine.
I mean...
I've got Laura's.
I mean, I have 0 questions about how you got a hold of mine. Let's hear it.
Now,
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
historically accurate, I think you'll agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been keeping my my foreign language learning on the down low, but yeah, there's just times where it all comes out.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
Depending on how much what some of our listeners might like to cream pie these inflatable Podquisition pals. And of course there's mine. So I think that people are going to really enjoy these new products. I hopefully that brings in a little money. I can think of at least 3 people listening to this right now that would want a sex doll of me, certainly. So I was thinking of charging, I don't know, how much was my council tax bill? £1,198 each.
Cool.
Hang on, is that with or without shipping?
Well, I mean, if people want to ship us, then they're going to have to buy multiple ones, aren't they? Welcome to Podquisition, everyone. I was in the bath about an hour ago, and I was excitedly sourcing soundboards and voice modulators for unrelated reasons, but I was very giddy about the whole thing.
As well you should be.
How is everyone?
I'm good. I've had a busy few days, but a very productive few days. I've been really sort of going all out, and
excellent.
I'm feeling good.
That's good to know. Conrad, are you in good humor, good spirits?
Yeah, yeah. I saw Weird Al Yankovic last weekend, and that was delightful.
Yeah.
It was very, very good. I mean, this I think the tour's over now. I think we were second to last stop on it. And he'd done this 4 years prior where they pretty much just played originals and not any of the parody stuff, and it wasn't a big, stage show with costume changes. They're very intimate, very small venue, very small seats that have really fucked up my shoulders. But the show was fantastic. Emo Williams opened up, told a great joke about his sister's boyfriend who's German, complaining that he can't get good bagels in Germany, and Emo saying in response, well, whose fault is that? Just beautiful. So I'm in good spirits.
Lovely. I'm doing all right myself.
Yeah.
Just mentally preparing for my match in Leeds on Friday night.
Big night.
Thought it was Saturday for a while till I worked out that the 4th of November was indeed Friday. So yeah, but that should be good. It's certainly a grudge match against the comedian Nathan Black. If anyone watched the Road to Redemption series on the True Grit Wrestling YouTube channel, you'll see that this man has made fun of the way I look and act and sound and dress, has attacked me from behind, and on social media he's been going after Phoenix, he's been making fun of my name changes and the nature of our relationship. Nathan Black is like the biggest arsehole I've ever met in wrestling, so I'm going to kick his fucking head off. Very happy about that. But otherwise, I'm all right. Been working hard on video game reviews. Yeah. The Bayonetta 3 review is up on the Jimquisition.com right now, and we will, of course, be talking about that a little later on the show. And yeah, just found out that I might be getting my ADHD meds sooner than I thought I would, or rather, reacquiring them after the NHS stripped me of them. So yeah, pretty positive. Also, we officially announced Kaleidoscope.
Yay!
The next Spectrum Wrestling show on November 19th. Tickets available at buyticketsstart@/Spectrum Wrestling. Our first match has been announced. It's myself and Priscilla, Queen of the Ring, aka Queens of the Space Age, versus Axel the Clown and Freaky Felicia the Freak Show. What a fucking match!
What a fucking match indeed!
What a fucking match is that? I can also confirm Simon Miller will return to this time in-ring competition, and we've got all manner of PPW-sourced colourful talent coming in. It's going to be great.
My thing, I'm gonna pitch up top of the show, and we'll talk about the game in a little bit when we get to talking about the games. But hey, go watch the 20+ minute long God of War Ragnarok accessibility video that will be up on youtube.com/LauraKBuzz when this episode goes out. Put a lot of effort into a very big video there, and I'm really, really happy with how it turned out, and I really want people to go check it out. So go check out that God of War Ragnarok accessibility video.
Certainly.
But yeah.
I'll be talking about accessibility with one of the games I'm talking about as well.
Yeah.
You might be interested to discuss that one.
Well, should we get into some of the games we've played?
Oh.
Yeah.
Please.
Let's do it.
Who's got a thing they want to talk about?
How many games have people played? That's usually the best way of working it out, I think. Like, whoever's played the most can kick us off.
I think Conrad's only played one, I think.
That's right.
Okay. I've played 2, and 2 and a bit, let's say.
Okay. I've played sort of 3. So I'll start, I guess. Let's just kick off with it from the start. I've been playing God of War Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I have not finished that game by any stretch of the imagination, so, this is review thoughts from the perspective of having put, 3 full, pretty full days into playing it. I've seen enough of it to mechanically and narratively have, I think, a pretty good sense of it. God of War Ragnarok starts off largely feeling like what you would expect from a sequel to the 2018 God of War.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that largely as a positive thing. It is, at least in its opening hours, very much mechanically what you expect. Visually, gameplay-wise, it is God of War 2018, but more of it. It's called Ragnarok. It's no spoiler to say, big event Ragnarok is coming. We should probably do something about that. Where the game gets more interesting to me is, as it goes deeper, and I'm trying to work out how to talk about this in the least spoilery way possible, because this game's still a week away from release when I talk about it now. God of War Ragnarok makes some interesting choices, narratively and gameplay-wise, that to me, as someone who has not finished this game, suggests potentially setting up a different direction for the series in the future. And the potential future of the series it presents is really interesting, and I really hope that it commits to what it seems to be setting up, because it is throwing a lot of interesting mechanical changes around, and some interesting characters being given more focus that I really hope is a signifier of where this game is sort of ultimately going. Go watch my full accessibility video that is up if you want to get a full rundown, but I want to give a little shout out to some of the stuff here. This is a huge improvement accessibility-wise on the first God of War, or the 2018 God of War, which had basically nothing in the way of accessibility settings. It barely had subtitles that could be made larger than 12-point font and some very basic audio sliders. This does a really good job in terms of, you know how The Last of Us 2 and the recent re-release of Part 1 on PS5 have really in-depth accessibility stuff you can go through before first boot of the game?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This has a similar setup, but it also has an optional button at the start that's do you want to just get to the start menu? You're not worried about accessibility? Cool, there's a button for you. If not, here's our nice guided setup. There's some really nice tweaks in there, things like a lot of the accessibility presets for things like vision, motor, auditory disabilities are not just a one-size-fits-all preset, like they were in The Last of Us. You have a partial and a complete preset per disability, which is a really nice option to have. Largely, this has basically everything that you would expect if you looked at, say, The Last of Us 2 as a benchmark. Some of it's not executed quite as well. The biggest issue I have right now is that high contrast mode character models are not independently lit compared to the lighting of the rest of a scene, which means that sometimes high contrast mode character models are not at all high contrast. It is not a frequent issue, but it's frequent enough that it's a problem. Sometimes light high contrast mode character models on light backgrounds in light settings will not really be visible. Same for dark colours on characters in dark settings. But, like, generally, really, really good set of accessibility stuff available. It's kind of tricky to know how much I can talk about, because the review embargo for this game is one of those review embargoes that is incredibly vague about certain specifics in a way that makes it hard to know exactly what I can get away with talking about. But I think I can say this. In terms of writing, I think that generally I've really enjoyed the overall dialogue writing, the characterization, and the writing of dialogue between multiple characters building relationships over time. I think that has been really solid. I think that occasionally the game trips up with issues of building character development and then forgetting that it did that 5 minutes ago for just a second because it wants to have some conflict, because it needs some conflict for a second. Like, it generally, like, it doesn't do a great job always, and it's not super frequent this happens, but it occasionally has issues with forgetting its own character development because it needs characters to fight for something. But I'm very interested in the plot. I am glad that the game has given a lot more room to exploring Atreus as a character distinct from his specific journey with Kratos and him as his own person. Atreus as a character has definitely aged up a few years in this and is in a position of, I am a teenager that feels kind of stifled by the fact that my dad is trying so hard to keep me safe that he is really holding on tight. And that has led to some really interesting changes in dynamic that have been really nice to play through. Some of the narrative beats have been like... This morning I went swimming, and on the walk home from swimming, I was talking to my wife Jane, and going, I bet you by the end of the game this is going to happen and this gameplay mechanic's going to be introduced. I got home, and within half an hour both of those things happened. Like, it's got a certain degree of, like, okay, you are very heavily foreshadowing, but the things that you very heavily foreshadow are so cool that I really don't mind when it happens. I'm like, yeah, I saw it coming, but it's cool that I can do it, though.
Yeah.
Mechanically, not that different thus far from... It takes a few hours to start introducing things that are mechanically different from the first game. I feel like there are more interesting ideas for puzzle design than the first game had, and some of the new puzzle mechanics it has introduced have been used to really strong effect, not just when they're introduced, but throughout. Yeah, there's a limit to how much I can say, because, like, I haven't finished playing it, but right now I'm really enjoying God of War Ragnarok, with, like, the biggest complaint I have is occasionally character development is put aside because we need you to fight for a second. When that's the biggest complaint I have about a game like this, I'm very much enjoying it, and I didn't want to put it down to record this. I wanted to keep going, which is always a good sign I'm having a good time with a game like that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's too spoilery to say, but do they do much to, as far as Atreus goes, do they do much to follow up on the sort of reveal at the end of the last one with his sort of character?
Yeah, so I obviously I am somewhat limited in what I can say specifics, but I think I can say this. Atreus is very, very focused on what was learned at the end of the first game. And Atreus, at the start of this adventure, very much wants to focus on that, and Kratos does not. And there is some initial tension in Kratos wanting Atreus to stay safe, whereas Atreus is like, you can't just drop that big of a narrative bombshell on me and not expect me to be curious as fuck. Which, again, I think leads into the whole idea of this being a story of a teenager wanting to go and do their thing, and a protective parent being like, that feels like it's just going to lead to bad shit. I know you want to know, but I want to keep you safe.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say a big focus, like a major focus of this game is Atreus wanting to follow up on the ending of the first game. And so far, the answers that have been provided there have been really satisfying and really interesting.
Cool.
But yeah, God of War Ragnarok. By this time next week, I will have finished it, and I'll be able to come back around before the game is out to be like, yeah, how do I feel now it's done? What about you, Steph? What have you been playing this week?
So the big one, of course, for me, and the review can be read on thejimquisition.com. Do the. People be getting malware warnings if they don't do the. It was funny when it was a hentai site. That's not so funny. But yes, the big one I've been playing this past week is Bayonetta 3. A great game when it's Bayonetta. When it's a Bayonetta game, it's really fucking good. But it seems to hate being a Bayonetta game. Or it certainly hates staying a Bayonetta game. So the actual Bayo stuff is really good. One thing I keep harping on about when I talk about it is the weapons. They're so fucking good.
Yep.
Bayonetta has always had good weapons. But this one, like, you start off obviously with the guns that are on her feet and held in her hands, and she turns into a butterfly woman this time around, which already is awesome. The guns are called Colour My World, which already is awesome. Then you start unlocking new weapons. And the yo-yo that turns you into a spider is on the conservative end of the potential weapons. The one I keep talking about is the train that she holds in her hands that's also a chainsaw, aka a train saw.
Oh, beautiful.
Right? They don't call it that. I called it that. So in a way, this is why I should write for more games.
Yeah, right?
This is what got me the Vampire Survivors gig, is that kind of razor-sharp prose. But yeah, Phoenix watched me play a little bit, and the moment they saw the train, they said, "Oh, show Laura!" I figured I knew you were already playing it.
Don't worry, I'm aware of the train.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, they should have seen this by now. Yes, the train is awesome. Its wheels turn into a chainsaw when Bayonetta swings it, and she can also jump on top of it and ride it into things, and then turn into a half-trained woman while buzzsaws all like fly out of it. It's awesome. There's a mic stand that you wield like a trident, and then you turn into a fish and sing into it. Brilliant. More of that. The most fun weapon you don't get until like a few chapters before the end. This sort of cape and top hat that you do magic tricks with. It's just fucking good. So yeah, all the weapons are great. Everything else outside of what Bayonetta should be is awful. And the problem with this game is it constantly interrupts itself. Constantly goes on little divergences, sort of like the game structure equivalent of a tangent.
Do you not enjoy stopping to do side-scrolling stealth segments?
They are so unforgivable. They're so bad.
I kind of like them.
They're boring, they're bland, they're mechanically unsatisfying, the controls are shit. The game, like, it still uses the sense of inertia and movement, animation and controls as Bayonetta in the actual real gameplay sections. It's not cut out for that. It's not cut out for 2D stealth. I just found them constantly getting in the way. Same goes for the Viola sections where you're playing as Viola, who has one weapon and only summons one demon, instead of like all these really like massive interesting demons that Bayonetta's always summoning, and all the different weapons. Viola's got a katana, which, you know, it's bad enough you get one weapon. A katana. Like, you couldn't get more bog standard video game weapon. The demon she summons is cool, but it like controls itself. So it's just, she plays exactly like Bayonetta, but way more boring. And even when you play as Bayonetta, there's constant distractions that are not fun. The platforming puzzles to open up chests and things. I gave up doing them by the end of it. Like the fucking Super Mario style thing where bits of blocks fly around and you've got a limited time to platform around to get them. Bayonetta doesn't control well enough for jumping on little platforms. She's not designed for that. And it's annoying because if you want to like upgrade your health and your magic meters, you do have to engage with that stuff, even though it's on paper optional. I hate the platforming sections. I hate the optional challenge areas. I've never cared much for them in any of these games. They're in Devil May Cry, they're in the Bayonettas, where you go to a small little arena and it's like, you know, kill however many enemies without getting hit once, or kill all these enemies in a really strict time limit. They annoy me at the best of times, but in this one, they're especially unimaginative. Really sort of boring little arena, and just, you know, pick up an enemy 3 times with this summon. It's like just fucking dreary. There's just a whole bunch of stuff like that. Like, there's a shmup section at one point, a Battletoad-style bike section at one point. The demon riding segments are fucking dreadful. There are times where Bayonetta will jump on one of her demons' backs and then run through some sort of, like, chase sequence. And they're just, like, a visual nightmare. The camera can't keep up with it. The demon is huge, so you can't see much of the surroundings. It moves rapidly. There's constant dazzling effects on screen. I can't see what the fuck's going on. I can't process what's happening. And on top of that, they control like shit. Then you've got the one-on-one kaiju battles, which set themselves up like Street Fighter or something, like a 2D fighter. Except there's just like one move each is mapped to the face buttons, and you press it and then just watch a really slow animation take place. And it's sort of like a guessing game almost, with timing it so that you hit a really slow attack before the enemy hits a really slow attack. It's just so laborious. And as I said in the review, it reminds me of Nier, which, you know, very famous for being an action game, very similar sort of Platinum-style action game that constantly fucks with its own genre. I remember sort of the original Nier back in the day suddenly becoming like a text adventure, or Nier Automata having various different gameplay modes, like the little shoot-'em-up sections for hacking and stuff like that. Nier does that stuff really well as a series. It's really good at subversion, and the genre bending it does is all done really well and interesting. Whereas in Bayonetta 3, it's like, and I've seen games do this before, it's like we're doing a different type of gameplay. The fact that we're doing that is gimmicky enough that we don't actually have to make the gameplay good beyond that. It's enough that we're doing a shmup section because, hey, it's variety, never mind that it's really boring. And the game is just like this constantly. It's doing a poor impersonation of Nier, which is a shame because the game is fucking good. It's really good, but it's only good when it's Bayonetta, and it's so obsessed with being things that aren't itself and doing none of them well, and that really holds it back. It is a good game. It's a really good game, and it's fucking fun, and the train saw alone is worth the price of entry. There is one of these little divergent genre shifts that is good, and it is like right near the end. There's this rhythm section that is really fucking cool. The music is awesome, and the gameplay is sort of kind of mechanically interesting, but it's one section really short near the end. Other than that, other complaints are I don't like the homunculi as enemies. The angels that you fight and the demons that you fight in the first 2 games are so visually interesting. I love the angels in Bayonetta, sort of looking like they're made of ivory with golden masks and these sort of cherub faces, like old school angel depictions. And you fight a couple of them in optional sections in the game, and all it does is highlight how shit the homunculi are, that are just sort of these indistinct white shells with vague blue gel inside them. So that's a shame. Plus, the final boss fight is too long-winded. It goes on for fucking ages and features about half a dozen climaxes that end with sudden anti-climaxes, where it's like, oh, this big sort of awesome big damn hero moment happens. Oh, wait. Now it's brought us right back down to 0 and peril. Oh, but wait, this thing is happening and it's big and excited, and this is your big conclusion. Oh, wait, here's more. That drags out. It's a lot of complaints for what is a really good game that if it had just remained consistently itself would have been fucking superb.
I'm going to very quickly throw some thoughts in, having been playing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fundamentally disagree with you with a lot of what you're saying. I feel like I have just personal tastes, some different feelings on some of it. I think that some of the side diversions are definitely not as strong mechanically as the core gameplay loop. I think where I differ is I found them short enough diversions that I enjoyed doing a little side thing and coming back. I didn't hate them. I enjoyed them while going, yeah, this is clearly a side thing and not the main thing you do. I kind of enjoyed the kaiju battles.
Some people did. I know you're not alone there.
Yeah, and here's the thing. All of your criticisms of them are entirely fair and reasonable. I just kind of enjoyed the spectacle enough to not really care.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's media criticism for you, is a lot of it will always be taste.
Yeah, I think, the main places where I differ from you are just... Yeah, I agree that, the platforming, side-scrolly stuff, is not as enjoyable as the core gameplay, but my ADHD is whatever kind of flavour that just really appreciated a little bit of novelty sprinkled in every now and then and was like, oh, new thing. I enjoyed the spectacle of the kaiju battles enough that, I didn't mind that it was just a bit button mashy. And, Viola, I know that, mechanically a bit more simple of a combat system. I wasn't nearly as put off by that. I personally enjoyed the shake-up in combat style, but again, that's just personal taste. All of the criticisms you've made are things that I look at and go, yeah, to greater or lesser degrees, I do agree with a lot of what you've said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just depends on how much you are in the mood for little side diversions and big spectacle in between your, what is admittedly, the core of the gameplay.
I mean, if they were just little side diversions, that'd be fine. But the game, there's so much of it. And I mentioned this in the review as well, but I want to just sort of mention it here for posterity. Don't give me a brand new, awesome-looking weapon that I'm excited to try if you're then going to give me not one, but 2 levels that don't let me play as the character that has it.
Yeah.
That is bad game direct. That is just bad directing. That is bad design.
I feel like what they were going for was, you build up the anticipation, get excited to come back to it, but I don't think that lands.
No, I mean, they built up anticipation by introducing alternate Bayonettas that have that shit. That's the anticipation. That's I see some alternate universe Bayonetta with, one of these weapons or one of the demons turning up, and I'm like, okay, I'm stoked to try that. And then it's like, oh, no. You want the train saw? Fuck you. Now here's a 2D side-scrolling stealth section. And I understand I could fire up the training room or play a level I've already beaten if I want to try it immediately. But that's its own pacing issue.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, the game's pacing has been fucked by this. And I know Bayonetta 3 is not the only one that does it, because I feel like... I can't think of any games off the top of my head, but I know I've had this feeling before, where I'm like, this game's given me a cool new thing, and now I can't use it.
I mean, I know Devil May Cry 5 a couple of times did that.
Yeah, that seems familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing I will say, while staying very spoiler-free, is that having finished it, I feel like I have some increased understanding of what some of the stuff hinted at by Bloomberg regarding voice actor stuff was relating to. There is definitely some context for some of what was sort of vaguely talked about.
Well,
some understanding that comes from knowing what that narrative is.
Yeah. Also, as has been discussed on the Jimquisition this past week, Helena Taylor is a scumbag.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do feel shitty on some level for platforming her at the beginning. I mean, I made the mistake millions of people made. And I still, I wanted to focus it very much on the actual issue of voice actors in the industry. So I don't regret doing that. But, she's done such an impressive job of destroying her sympathy with everyone. Because the hardcore gamers TM that don't care about her being transphobic, because, a lot of people in that hardcore TM community are transphobic themselves, they're upset with her because she lied about out Platinum Games, one of their holy sacred cows. And then people like me, left-leaning industry critics, fucking hate her now because her politics are so fucking monstrous.
Here's the thing about it that was really frustrating for me, like, with a bit of distance. I was made aware of some of the transphobic people she was following right when that story first dropped. And I sat there going, like, I really want to, like, fucking point that out, because I see so many people going, like, yes, this is our Lord and Savior we need to, like, lift up as a thing. But I was like, I don't want to be that person that turns the conversation off of the very important, topic of voice actor stuff. So I fucking stayed quiet about it.
It's tough to negotiate that, yeah.
It's tough to negotiate, like, can I talk about this person being a shitty person without that coming across as me trying to deflect?
Yeah. And plenty of people did.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, unfortunately, till the first Jimquisition on this story went up. And then in the second one, I made mention of it in passing. And then, of course, on this past one, it was like, well, fuck it, she's...
Yeah.
Even though the real important story is that voice actors overall need better union negotiation and better treatment, as a separate story, watching a former Bayonetta voice actor go from intensely sympathetic to losing the good graces of everybody is an incredible story in its own right.
Yeah.
It is an incredible story. I know some people are like, well, they didn't want to hear about it for a third week in a row, but I personally think it is quite a phenomenon to see.
Yeah.
Although, funnily enough, I do like some of the people that were like, oh, you were completely on her side until the anti-abortion thing came out, and now she's a monster. You're being selective. And I'm like, mate, I did not know the extent of this shit. And I was on the side of voice actors deserving better compensation.
Yeah. It's not being on her side, it's being on the side of voice actors deserve better pay.
Yeah. The side of the angels, as she put it in her wishy-washy, turf-flavoured comment on trans rights.
The side of the fucking angels.
Which, like,
Yeah.
I do want to emphasise what I emphasised on the Jimquisition with that. I know, like, a cis person who doesn't have much experience with gender criticals might look at that and think, well, at worst, she's being centrist. She's saying, she doesn't want saber rattling. She doesn't want to say trans rights because she doesn't want to be divisive.
That's the other reason why I didn't bring up the transphobia, like, right at the start of all this, is because I just fucking knew that if I went on Twitter and was like, hey, look at who Helena Taylor's following, looks like she's a big old transphobe, I would have gotten so many fucking, like, bad faith responses of like, well, maybe she's following that person for other reasons, or maybe she doesn't know that that's a dog, but maybe she's accidentally following transphobes. You can't assume she's transphobic.
It's a gender critical favourite is come up with something. It's plausible deniability. I mean, a lot of them have dropped even that. Even J.K. Rowling's been dropping that mask now. But yeah, the plausible deniability of say something that on the surface looks centrist at worst, but then you look at the language used, trans rights reduced to saber rattling, very explicit use of the word female, which is a gender critical favourite. Mentioning all these people that she's on the side of who are reasonable people, but explicitly not mentioning trans people, even though the question was about trans people. Instead, she was like, oh, I agree with all sorts of people, whether they're, a Brexiteer or a Remainer or black or white.
Yeah. Every pair of groups other than the one involving trans people.
Yeah, and then you take it in the context that she is an anti-abortionist, and that group, who I explicitly refused to name, are also like homophobic, and like it's all the stuff.
Yeah.
They're anti-abortion in mission, but their sort of propaganda also points out how evil it is to be gay and all of this. You take that context, then who she's following, then look at that statement through the experience that myself and Laura have both had. Both of us have spent years. Hell, even before I came out, I spent years arguing with TERFs. And of course, the abuse they ignored me before I came out, and now they sort of do their best to harass me. But you and I have seen this rhetoric so many times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry for the big diversion there, but
no,
fuck her.
Yeah, fuck her indeed. Conrad, what have you been playing this week?
Well, the only thing I played this week of note is Signalis. This is a yes.
That's the other one I've been playing.
Yes, I was aware of that, which is
Yeah.
why I stayed so quiet while y'all were figuring out who was gonna go first. Aha.
So, I've got a lot of thoughts on this, but
Do you?
please share yours, sir.
Well, it's okay. So it's a horror third-person kind of homage to Resident Evil, but more explicitly Silent Hill.
Yeah, there's a couple of games like this. It's
Yeah.
very much like how you've got like the retro spell, which I didn't come up with this word, but everyone loved it when I mentioned it in the review. Retro, spelled RETRAUX.
Clever.
Retro.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
You get a lot of first-person shooters that sort of copy Doom and Blood, and they're all really quite good. Most of them are, Proteus, Cultic, medieval. Loads of those are good. You also have a little subgenre of horror games that are also doing this. PSX era, Resident Evil, Silent Hill. Unlike with retro first-person shooters, retro survival horrors are largely shit. Back in 95, I fucking despise. Vaccine is one of the worst games ever. Signalis is probably the best of these I've played. But yeah, sorry, went on a tangent, but yeah, just to point out, this is part of a subgenre.
Yeah, this has become a subgenre over the last 5 years or so, I would say. And yes, this is a very, very good example of a game that is both good and effectively conveying a lot of the same mechanics and sensibilities that you would have found in a PlayStation era horror game. The first clue for me that they were nailing it was the number of doors that are locked. Just inexplicably locked.
Yeah.
You're presented with a top-down perspective, angled, but top-down. And you can move with analog. It offers tank controls if that's your preference, just to indicate that they are really taking this seriously. No thanks, I'm fine. That's one of the innovations that I'm perfectly happy to accept has happened. And it's exploring creepy environments, encountering enemies with irregular, moderate frequency, while you try to find the items that you need to put in other places in the environment to open up new areas to find new items, some of which you might have to combine. But everything's very straightforward in its puzzle design. It's rare that you're in a lot of question about what you're going to need to do, and if there is such a question, the solution is going to present itself in short order through exploration, often in the same room that you're in. And this even applies to non-collect fetch item quest things. Like the puzzles that are plays on classic video game and other puzzles. For example, there's one of those where you have 3 containers to store fluids, and you have to get them to have a certain amount of volume in each.
Yes. Can I just read something?
Please.
I took a photo of that for reasons I'll get into. I mentioned earlier accessibility. Basically, I also mentioned I have ADHD at the beginning.
Right.
And the way ADHD affects me is particularly bad about working memory. I put down a set of keys. I look away and they've disappeared from my brain. It's even worse when I'm trying to remember specific instructions, especially when they're written like this. So I took a photo, which I've been doing for a few puzzles, because a majority of these puzzles are memory games. So here's the document. With tank A full, here's how to equalise the reservoir. Fill tank B, then fill tank C with water only from B. Move the water from tank C back to tank A. Fill tank C again with the remaining water from tank B. Then refill tank B from tank A. Again, fill tank C with water only from tank B, and then move it back to tank A. If you make a mistake or get stuck, just fill everything back into tank A and start over.
Uh-huh.
Now, Fee later pointed out that it's, if you think of it like a circular process. It's easier to remember. But you show that to someone with like ADHD like me, and that just stops my brain working. And then I've got to try and remember it to do it without looking at the document or having to flip between. And I can't do it. The moment I'm done looking at it, I can't remember. I had to take a photo and follow the steps.
That sure could have been translated into more actionable, straightforward steps.
And in fairness, I did myself, and I will send you all this photo. I wrote down the sequence on the back of a receipt. But while I will acknowledge that this is a bit convoluted or frustrating in terms of its conveying the information in this style, the thing that I would point out is that in a game of its type from the era, that instruction would probably not exist at all.
Well, yeah.
There is an indicator elsewhere in the room that tells you need to get both of these to 600, and that's all you would get in the original. This, at least, even in the same room, says, you know what? We know people find this puzzle in particular frustrating. We feel compelled to include it for some reason. We're going to actually just put the solution written out in the room you can reference.
Yeah.
Is it the most convenient description? No. Is it particularly helpful that the item is in your inventory and you can reference it, but you would have to move away from the puzzle, I think, to open up the inventory to then reference it? Not that useful. Certainly. But baby steps. Like,
well, I get it. I mean, this is one of those things where better doesn't mean good.
No.
It's better
but
than
still
something
improvement.
Released in 1996, yes.
Yep.
Doesn't mean it's good for someone like me.
No.
And that's one of the issues with this game. And I've resorted to just having a walkthrough open for some of the puzzles. Like,
sure.
Because so many of them are memory games. And I just can't do them. Like, I'm mentally incapable of anything more complex than like remembering a short sequence of numbers, which is to say nothing of some of the puzzles that are balancing numbers, because I've also got dyscalculia, hooray. So the vast majority of these puzzles are something I can't do without help.
Yeah.
And I don't feel good about that.
I mean, I also struggle with short-term memory stuff. I don't retain, and part of that is video games aren't as important to me as they used to be. And so my brain just tosses a lot of what it deems to be unnecessary information pretty much immediately. And so and this even goes back to being a kid. I always had a pen and paper next to me to play video games. You know, that was always present, and I would always wind up taking these kinds of notes. But at the same time, the world's changed and it's so much better now, and some of this shit is just insufferable.
Yeah.
And I recognize that I come from a position of, well, it is sort of like a nostalgia thing, and introducing nostalgia to younger generations that's kind of interesting, is that we want to bring along the things that we liked and show them to future generations, but we also want to forget about all the bullshit that came along with that. And we have the technology.
Yes.
And it would be nice maybe to find more ways, because why are we celebrating the irritating aspects of it and the annoyances?
Yeah. Well, some games can go too far in their desire to replicate an older experience.
I wish this game had a bigger inventory, is another example of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my other big complaint, is the... And actually, and someone pointed it out to me because I was talking about the game on Twitter, the developer has acknowledged that. They're looking at an update to better balance the inventory. Now, they've said that the tricky bit for them basically is balancing it so that it's the inventory is better to use without upsetting it for anyone who likes the challenge. It's not a challenge.
Yeah, what challenge?
We need to knock that on the head,
Yeah.
this idea that arbitrary restriction equals an edifying challenge. It's not a challenge.
And maybe I'm just not far enough into this game yet. I've cleared the 4th floor,
Mm-hmm.
and, so like the medical wing, I guess I could say that without any particular sports, because who would know? I've cleared that. Combat has only really been a necessity for me in a couple instances. I have resources aplenty. This is not challenging, it's just frustrating.
Yeah, and there's no challenge involved in going to a new area, picking stuff up, and then realizing that your inventory spaces are all full and there's other stuff to pick up.
Now you gotta march back to the box.
And some of them could be important resources. Like, I've been engaging in combat a little bit more. I certainly wasted several bullets before working out just how many times enemies will get back up off the fucking ground after you kill them, unless you do the Resident Evil remake thing of burning the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing challenging about being like, oh, here are some handgun bullets, I can't pick them up, but I don't want to leave them here and forget about them, so I'm going to trudge back through all the rooms I've already walked through, go up a ladder, go up a ladder, go up a ladder, go back to the safe room, and put some stuff in the box. Yeah, that's not challenging. It's just a waste of time. I'm not sitting here thinking, how am I going to puzzle my way out of this one? It's like, no, I just got to backtrack. It's really annoying. I think if they added just a couple more inventory slots, it would make a big difference.
Yeah.
The other compromise, and I really think this should be a thing, is if you equip an item, because some items sit in your inventory, some you have a slot for equipment. I shouldn't have a very precious inventory space taken up by a flashlight. I should not. And the same goes for, like some people have said, well, the memory games aren't as bad if you bring along the eye item. There's an eye item that's basically an eye, and it's a camera, and it takes in-game photos. That's not as convenient as just using my phone, because I will have to do the thing like I did with the water pump document. You'd have to leave the puzzle to go into the menu to find the thing, and by the time I've navigated back, I will have forgotten it. And B, if I take the camera, that's any number of items I'll have to leave on the ground.
Yeah.
That is a slot that could be kept open in case I fight all my way through an area to find a key that I can no longer fucking pick up.
The keys. That's... Like, there are so many fucking card keys. How much space does a goddamn card take up in a pocket?
Just put it in your pocket,
You should be able to have a stack of fucking cards.
Wedge it down the neck of your shirt if you need to. Just get it in there somewhere.
Ridiculous.
Hold it in your hand if you must.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my biggest issues. But otherwise, the tone is great.
Very creepy.
Yeah.
The screams that come out the enemies, is the first time that happened, I literally wheeled back around and left through the door I just entered in because this thing just suddenly screamed and lunged at me, and I just went, no, I need to recenter myself before I deal with that. Yeah, because it was just it wasn't like I jumped, but I was surprised. I was like, whoa, hang on. It was like Dark Beast Pearl in Bloodborne, where the bit that made that boss hard, even more than the mechanics, was the noise it made.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So it's got some good stuff going for it.
Yeah, I like the world building.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off a little vague with, who is this, where are they, what are we doing? But it does a good job of drip feeding enough to where it's like, okay, I know the main character's motivation, I get a good sense of who and what things are, and there's this nice sort of stuff about capitalism in there, and
sure,
worker abuse, certainly sort of the idea of dehumanizing a workforce, and the way it talks about the various sort of, I don't know if it's spoilery to talk about what the NPCs and the protagonists sort of, what their role is, but the documents about the different types of people, the different sort of groups, is really interesting. I really liked reading a lot of the background lore about the characters and the world in general.
Yeah. I'm a little annoyed about the main character's name, which I think should be Lester. But other than that, I do really like the world building.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious about the state authority that's at play here. There's a lot on the periphery that still needs to be filled in, and I feel like I'm only about like a third of the way through this. So, it does feel like there's a fair way to go just based on what I've observed. But yeah, I do like it. I think I'm going to keep playing it on stream Monday nights because my wife Linda's really into it too, and it's a lot of I actually like the shooting in it.
It ain't bad.
It ain't bad.
It ain't bad. It's sort of a nice compromise between sort of some of the older of the action-oriented Resident Evils where you stood still to fire.
Right.
You do get some movement, but it's very slow. And then you can just like fire as soon as you aim, but if you wait for the little targeting square that goes over an enemy to shrink, you can be more effective. So there's a little risk-reward there.
The game that the movement reminded me of, and this may even also extend to the shooting if I'm remembering how that felt there also, but I kept feeling that Parasite Eve vibe off of it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I never played much of Parasite Eve, but from what little I know,
there's a certain aspect to the movement of that character that I feel is very similar here, and that's kind of interesting. I like the reticule when you're aiming and how it does it shrink down, and also how it indicates when, hey, you know what, don't waste your time shooting right now because it's not going to have any effect. I think that's very good and helpful, and it feels good to me.
Yeah.
It requires precision, but it's also very accurate, and it does give a little bit of help, which is nice. So yeah, I think it's overall pretty good with some irritating caveats, and I'm looking forward to playing more and seeing what else it has.
Yeah, I reckon I'm going to review it as well. I am enjoying it a lot. Like you, I've got some notable grievances, but it's a really good creepy game. It's got a nice atmosphere, nice world building. Genuinely, for as low detail as they are, the enemies are genuinely unsettling.
Yeah, the enemies are. I think some of the cutscene art feels a little...
It's a little amateur hour.
Yeah, a little bit how to draw manga, but...
Yes. That's perfect, yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, visually, I think it's really, really solid. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
The only other thing I've played this week, and it's going to be a quick one to sort of rattle through, is I have played the first 2 episodes of new Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of those episodic games, but they released all the episodic episodes at the same time. It is ostensibly a sequel to Tales from the Borderlands, the Telltale game. Kind of really doesn't rely on knowing that first game, and also isn't made by Telltale or the new company that's called Telltale but isn't old Telltale. It's Gearbox trying to make their own Telltale game themselves, and here's how I feel 2 episodes into it. I really appreciate how casual and not a big deal it has managed to make a lot of queer identities and relationships. That has been genuinely really nice. We've got, even if minor, we've got trans character voiced by a trans person. We've got some queer sexuality on display. Some non-standard relationship dynamics. That's really nice. I feel very differently about the 2 episodes I have played so far. Episode 1, I think, is way more solid than I expected it to be. It has a few issues, mainly that come in the form of very hand-holdy, by-the-numbers, not great gameplay at times. Like, there's a lot of we're trying to emulate the non-dialogue moments of Telltale games and, like, not always getting it quite perfect. But, like, the characters who were set up in that first episode have very distinct personalities. Their interactions with each other and each of their, like, side NPC that they are close with all feel very well fleshed out. They all make sense. I really enjoy these characters. The plot set up in the first episode for why each of these characters are doing the things they're doing, how they've gotten to the call to adventure, I think works really well. Found it funny, found it well paced. I genuinely think the first episode is really good. The second episode is a lot more inconsistent. I didn't dislike it, but I have some reservations, and I really hope that the issues in episode 2 don't persist through the rest of the episodes. My biggest problem is that one of the 3 playable protagonists, Fran, who is a woman who owns a froyo shop, it got destroyed by Big Mega Corporation, then Big Mega Corporation refused to pay out her insurance to repair it, and then it gets destroyed again by Big Mega Corporation. She's a really fun, nuanced character who has, like, a very interesting personality and way about her, but also a very justified reason for being angry and anti-corporate. Episode 2, like, really kind of flanderizes her. Like, boils her down to one very, very repetitive plot element for, like, 3/4 of the episode. Most of the episode, her entire personality is, I want to murder them over there.
Yeah.
Which is so much less layered than she was in the first episode. And I'm really hoping it's something that there are reasons for me to think maybe that is just an episode 2 thing from where episode 2 ends, and maybe that will sort itself out. But that was my biggest problem, was just that second episode really sort of removed some of the nuance that I'd been enjoying in the first. Also, really dislike that... I don't know how to talk about this in a subtle way. I think that this might be the most fucking obvious example I've ever seen of trying to keep a secret that there's a big twist coming, but making it so fucking obvious. And I think I can say this much. Our party of 3 characters need to go somewhere. There is a gap to squeeze through. 2 of the characters are small enough to squeeze through, one of them is not.
Uh-oh.
She says, I'll go find my way, another way around. And, like, it seems like it's setting up for a party split. Fade to black, the exact next scene is them all meeting up again together.
Ah.
Yeah, it's them all meeting back up together. And I'm sat there going, okay, so the one party member who was alone went and did something shady that we're not going to find out, and it's going to be a big plot twist. Like, cool, right? Yeah,
Shocking.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it was so fucking confusing in the moment, because I was like, why the fuck did they make us split up? What was the purpose? What was... And the only rationale I have is that was meant to be some big surprise moment that is just so fucking obvious.
Well, maybe they'll surprise you and forget about it, and then you'll be left wondering, wait a minute, so that wasn't a setup? Then why did we do this?
I mean, the only other maybe reason I can think of is that it was a lazy attempt to go, she's fat.
Oof.
And I don't think it's that, because I feel like if that's what they were trying to do, I feel like they would have... This is not a game of subtlety. I think if that's what they were trying to do, they'd have been obvious about it. All that criticism being said, I am really interested in this, and, like, the main reason I'm like, right now really eager to play more of it is, if you've played Borderlands stuff before, there's a sort of expectation of what your sort of arc will be by the end of the 5th, like, the final episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they get to that way, way, way earlier than expected, and I have no fucking clue what the next 3 episodes of this are going to be, and that's really interesting.
That is, yeah, okay.
It has done a really good job of making me get 2 episodes into a Borderlands narrative and going, I genuinely don't know what the story is, because, yeah, no, you've done a thing that no other Borderlands story has really done, and I am intrigued by that. So, it's showing promise, but it's like, it's definitely, it's got warning signs, and I really hope it roughs it out. Has anyone else played anything else, or should we get on to the news?
Played a little of Super Lone Survivor. It's Lone Survivor.
That's not a bad thing.
No, I mean, it was one of my favourite games of its time.
It's a game I haven't played in many, many years.
Many years, like, what was it, 2013 or something?
Yeah.
This is the 10th anniversary of...
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah. It's not been had enough attention paid to it for it to be called a controversy. But Jasper Byrne has added a warning on the page now on Steam that says definitely not recommended for 99% of owners of the original game, unless the improvements feel worth it. Because it's worth pointing out, like, this is a remaster, more or less.
Yeah.
There are, like, I think there's, like, one or two new enemies sort of hidden around, but basically the adjustments listed are deep diving for secret areas and achievements, improved presentation, a 4.3 mode and smoother parallax scrolling, and controller support. There are like new shaders and things as well, so it looks a bit better, but it is Lone Survivor. I streamed it a little, and yeah, I couldn't... It's been so long that I couldn't even tell you what was different at the time until I sort of saw the list. And I didn't really question it, because I was like, oh, yeah, it's Lone Survivor. I will play that again. So yeah, it's good to have it on the Steam Deck and that, but definitely be aware that this is not a new game at all. I know some people were upset about that. Jasper sort of apologised on Twitter, didn't want to feel like he was misleading anyone, which I don't think,
No.
he told any lies.
No.
I do understand why someone would see a game called Super Lone Survivor and
expect it to be...
expect more than it
Sure,
has.
I can see that happening, but...
Because, yeah. So it's... If you've never played it, it's so good.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's really good. So yeah, that's about it. And that's pretty much what I've been doing. And then I feel bad because Jasper wanted it on the Switch as well, which was one of the things I was excited about seeing it on. But he cannot get that fucking thing certified. As I've spoke, he literally just tweeted that says it's likely the Switch release will be next year at the earliest. That's worrying when you say an entire year at the earliest. Says we'll see if I feel up to it in a few months. Right now I need some time away. So, well, I wish him the best because Jasper's a nice fella.
He is.
And really cares about like that game and really wanted me to have a code for the new one because he said like myself and our friend Jonathan Holmes were big, sort of like very instrumental in Lone Survivor being successful back in the day. It was back when I was influential. But yeah. So I wish him the best. I know it's been a real pain for him getting this out, and yeah, the game is still great. That's it from me.
Well, in that case, shall we rattle through a couple of newsy bits?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Quick one that happened while we were recording. Not much to say about this. PlayStation VR 2, that won't play any of your original PlayStation VR games, is coming in February and is going to cost $550, making it more expensive than the PS5 itself.
That can fuck off. I'm not. VR is already such a hard sell to me. But this is an example of what I've been saying about VR for years, is how prohibitive it is. Mm-hmm. It's, as well as people like with any like visual disabilities that might struggle with that, people who are prone to headaches, people who, would get motion sickness. Like there's loads of physical barriers that make VR kind of inaccessible, and then there's the price. We had that with I think it was it Oculus, or it was the Facebook one. They increased the price of their headset recently because of economic concerns, and we're going to see a lot of this. We're going to see a lot of people like look at how fucked the economy is, and their answer to people having less money is to charge more, which is just despicable.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is why VR has not taken off. This is why everyone who said that VR is the future, this is why Venkachera is wrong. Because, it can't take off when it's this prohibitive.
As someone who is a big proponent of VR being fantastic tech that I personally love, that owns multiple different kinds of VR headsets, yeah, this is a hard sell price, particularly given that I mean, look, I don't doubt that this is going to be a higher quality of headset than something like, say, the Oculus Quest, but you could get the Quest, play standalone VR titles in it without needing to have a PS5 to run the games, or if you have a PC, have access to all the PC library. That is cheaper than the PSVR 2 is going to be. That is a hard value proposition. So yeah, now we have a bunch of fucking Activision Blizzard King stories, a lot of which this week revolve around the ridiculous price of microtransactions in various projects they have. So where should we start? This is a fun one. Overwatch 2, It is faster to earn skins playing World of Warcraft than by playing Overwatch 2 itself. You can earn Overwatch 2 skins faster by playing a different video game.
Fucking amazing. Amazing.
Yep. Apparently just grinding for in-game gold in World of Warcraft and turning that into Battle.net balance is a much quicker way of earning skins than doing the weekly challenges that Overwatch 2 offers you to get those cosmetics.
Wow.
Someone did the maths. I'll read the quote that came from this from the Overwatch subreddit. World of Warcraft has a system where you can purchase a token with in-game gold and convert it into Battle.net balance. €13, 1 token. The rate isn't great at all, and unless you're really good at gold farming or just super committed to grinding, it can take a while to make decent gold. Despite the grind, it's still worth the effort compared to the lower value that Overwatch 2 players can gain from the weekly challenges. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But you can unlock everything by playing the game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got years, if you've got 10 years, you could unlock everything. It's just the lows to which Blizzard sink.
Yeah.
No individual low shocks me anymore, but when I stand back and look at the sum of all these lows, it is astounding. Just how far down into the gutter Blizzard dragged itself in pursuit of money. Like, the writing was on the wall when the auction house was in Diablo 3.
Yeah.
And they've gotten worse and worse since then, and yeah, like, I still credit the original Overwatch, or rather blame the original Overwatch for so much of the loot box craze, and Blizzard overall in being such a huge proponent in what is essentially vandalization of the medium. I believe that when you take a game and destroy the sense of player satisfaction, progress, the in-game economy, when you destroy all that to flog as microtransactions and stuff like that, like you're committing vandalism. Sometimes to an entire genre if you're influential enough. Fuck Blizzard. They're as exploitative as they are, and this is before we even get into the harmful corporate culture it's had, sort of all the abuse and everything. They're irredeemable. They're irredeemable.
Indeed. On the other end of video game skins news, people are paying £30 each for a single fucking Call of Duty skin that is an advertisement for Burger King because they made a couple of Call of Duty Burger King locations, and people are selling Burger King branded Call of Duty skins for like 30 quid each because people cannot resist spending money on advertising promotional material. They're paying to be walking adverts.
What a fucking brilliant racket this has been.
Yeah.
If I'm totally honest. Like, they found a way to get us to pay for the marketing, which has always been one of the biggest expenses.
Oh yeah, like marketing budgets are often, depending on the game, can be equal the entire budget for the actual development of said game.
God bless them.
Yeah. One more story about in-game microtransaction-y things. Hey, in Overwatch 2, there's like a virtual 3D a virtual keyring charm that you can buy as a digital download.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy the real world charm cheaper than the digital version in game.
Wait, what?
Specifically, we are talking about the Overwatch Pachimari Jinx 3D keychain. Yeah, you can buy the real-world keychain for $5. It's like a little sort of onion with tentacles on a keyring. You can buy it on Blizzard's website as a physical keyring for $5, right? It costs more than $5 in microtransactions, much closer to $10 in microtransactions, to buy the digital version of the keyring to put on your character in-game. It costs twice as much as the physical keyring in the real world.
Fucking hell.
So...
Fuck video games.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah, right. Fuck video games. We're still not done with fucking Microsoft Activision Blizzard-y stories. In a story that should surprise no one, but I'm always like, it's always a surprise somehow whenever this happens. Modern Warfare 2, the disc for that game, how much data do you reckon's on that disc? In like megabytes, gigabytes? How much data do you reckon's on the Modern Warfare 2 disc?
See, I like that you've tipped your hand a bit by indicating that it could be megabytes.
It could, look, I'm not saying, look, it could be 0, it could be the full 150 gigs, it's somewhere in that range.
200 gigs. That's my guess.
Is this Price is Right rules? Do you have to, without going over?
Sure.
I'm gonna say it is a, 50 meg file.
You are ridiculously close, Conrad. It's 70 megabytes of data on the disc. 150 gigabytes to be downloaded online.
Amazing.
Fucking hell. What is this? Fucking 2012?
Yeah.
I hope you don't have a metered connection.
Yep. Yeah, so the physical disc contains 72.23 megabytes of data. That is it. It is a 150 gig download. Why the fuck are you buying a disc?
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's fun. We do have some updates on the whole situation around Call of Duty and the big battle Microsoft and Sony have been publicly happening about whether or not Call of Duty will stay on PlayStation long term and getting commitments to that. We do have actually a fairly, plain language, hard to wriggle out of statement from Phil Spencer. Speaking to the YouTube channel Same Brain, Phil Spencer said that apparently Call of Duty will keep releasing on Sony's consoles as long as there is a PlayStation out there to ship to. Which seems like a far cry from the implying a few years from now it might leave the platform.
Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty different.
Yeah, and it sure seems like if this was always the case, it would have been said earlier, and maybe this is a hand that was forced by, going through the, all the various regulation that's currently happening, but, I mean, this certainly won't hurt their attempts to say to the regulators, we're not monopolizing Call of Duty.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that is legally a thing at all, but that is a claim that PlayStation won't ever not get Call of Duty.
Okay.
Now, there's no guarantee it won't come later or less featured or whatever, but
I don't believe anything that Microsoft says about anything.
Nope.
I mean, that is fair. I'm purely giving you whatever the most recent statement is, so it is known. Lastly, before we move on from Microsoft, speaking of not fucking trusting them, Microsoft's board of directors has voted against an independent report into their military contracts.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Odd that they wouldn't. It would only seem you'd think that they'd want to be patriotic about it and talk about all of the ways they're helping our fine men and women ensure democracy remains, our calling card.
Yeah. So, this has all happened sort of ahead of an annual shareholders meeting that's coming up, but there was a proposal that basically said, hey, we have concerns about the ethics of the US government using potentially Microsoft-created technology and the impacts of being involved in being a shareholder for a company who might license some of their tech to the military. And Microsoft has made a statement with its company's board of directors basically saying, hey, please vote against these proposals. Please don't vote to...
We really, boy, you think it's bad now. Just wait until what happens to the stock price when people find out what we've been up to.
Yeah. So, like, this isn't, like, necessarily Xbox specific, but obviously Microsoft, is still looped in. One of the specific concerns that was raised was around HoloLens, the augmented reality tech.
Oh, I remember that fucking thing.
Yeah. So, apparently Microsoft bid for a 10-year, $10 billion contract with the Department of Defense that seemingly was to try and sell them augmented reality tech for use in war. The board of directors believes that the report would not advance the interests of Microsoft, its shareholders, or any other stakeholder.
You don't say.
Yeah. So that's that. Microsoft doesn't want you thinking too hard about their
military contracts, yeah.
Funny that. And the last couple of stories we got before we finish off today. You know Sam Barlow?
I've heard the name.
The person who made Her Story?
Yes.
Makes good, interesting little narrative-y games?
Yeah.
Tesla, the company, contacted Sam Barlow at some point in the past and said, hey, we'd like to put the video game Her Story into Teslas, so people who are in a Tesla can play Her Story. How much do you think Sam Barlow was offered as a financial figure to put Her Story in a Tesla?
I bet this is going to be something fucking insulting.
Yes, it is. Because I saw the headline, I know the answer. I'm not going to play, but ooh.
Yeah.
Is it under $1,000?
Oh, here, I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. How much would you pay if you were a shitty gaming blog, a new writer? What would you pay them in?
Oof. Oh, fucking hell.
Uh-huh.
Right, you're going to have to give me the figure.
The figure is 0. It's exposure.
Holy fuck.
Let me read the tweets. Tesla once reached out to ask her to put Her Story in a car. I asked how much they would pay for the license and to cover the engineering work required. They suggested 0, that I consider the exposure I would get.
Fuck, mate.
Her Story in a car remains one of the sillier ideas I've ever heard.
It's up there.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this is a joke or not, but a response does seem to imply that Tesla also asked the developer of Untitled Goose Game the same, and wanted to put Untitled Goose Game in a Tesla, and also offered just exposure.
Amazing.
So...
I believe it. I want to believe it, so I choose to until I hear otherwise.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And, last little thing to finish up. You know how everyone who, all the game publishers that were going all in on blockchain, NFT bullshit, for the most part have, stepped back from it and gone, yeah, this was not a good shout?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Square Enix is, continuing to double down. The latest update, Square Enix wants to make a global hit title and believes that blockchain will play a key part in the future of growth.
Like cancer, right, I get you.
Yeah. Basically, there's a series of quotes. There's quite a lengthy set of quotes, but it boils down to the Japanese game buying public is not enough people to sustain buying the games we want to make at the budgets we want to make them. So, we need to make games for a global market that are that sell better outside of Japan than we currently do. And the answer for that is blockchain and NFTs.
Yeah.
Whatever. Whatever. Clearly, we've got some fucking executives who, and I'm convinced now that we've got executives who invested in crypto. And because that shit only works if you can pass the grift on to someone else, that's all they're doing now.
Oh, fucking guarantee it, yeah. Look, any big person who bought into Ethereum and then couldn't shift that Ethereum really wants to turn that Ethereum into NFTs and sell it on so that they can recoup that lost investment. That's just the thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the news this week.
Yeah.
That's it.
We did it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the things.
Good for us.
Yeah.
Good for us indeed. Laura,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what would be good for the listener is if they had some more stuff to check out, and I do believe you might be able to scratch that itch.
I mean, probably. Go check out Laura K. Buzz in all the places. Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. Please consider $1 a month over there. It really makes a difference. The big thing, just go to youtube.com/LauraKBuzz and go check out the God of War Ragnarok accessibility review that is up. It is like a good 20-minute deep dive into all of the settings found in the game, which ones work well, which could have been improved. It is a video I am super proud of, and I really hope people check it out. What about you, Conrad?
Oh, well, you can find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Twitter and Instagram, and you can hang out with me live on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatconradzimmerman. You can buy anti-capitalist propaganda that I make at pinfultruth.com and audiobooks at conradreads.com. And everything I do online gets supported through Patreon as well at patreon.com/fistshark. And you know who else has a Patreon?
Ooh.
James Stephanie Sterling.
Do it, oh yeah. Do it, oh yeah. You're doing a great job. Do it, oh yeah. Oh shit.
Damn it, I've come again.
Right? Patreon.com. I actually, my thumb twitched and pressed stop before the I'm sorry bit, which was my favourite bit. Patreon.com/Jimquisition. That takes care of the vast majority of my video game content, including this podcast.
That is how you know it's me, because I'm apologizing afterwards.
Yeah. I figured,
yeah.
that would be the telltale touch. I've heard about your telltale touch.
Heyo.
Where I make I also stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and sometimes weekends at Twitch TV/Jim Sterling. Wrestling dates currently this Friday, November 4th, True Grit Wrestling in Leeds. November 12th, Newcastle, Avant Garde Wrestling. November 19th, Spectrum Wrestling, my own promotion. Our next show, Kaleidoscope in Sheffield. Tickets available at buytickets.at/Spectrum Wrestling. November 20th, I'll be in Leicester for Wrestling Resurgence, and currently don't have my December or January slotted out, but I've already got a booking on February 5th. That will be Manchester for the next Sovereign Pro Wrestling show. That's about it. Also, November 10th, Vampire Survivors is coming to Xbox One. That's the game I wrote for, so do check that out. And that is it. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.